been watching WildChild make her way down the coast of Nova Scotia and Maine for a while now. In the last few episodes, you've seen us hop around a little confusingly as we had to take WildChild back for some repairs. And in the last episode, WildChild finally made it close to PortLand, Maine, but we actually pulled into Great Diamond Island. So in this episode, we're going to make it to PortLand, Maine, do some repairs on the boat, and then jump out and head about 60 miles south. The anchorage got really rolly in the night with the boat rolling sideways in a 2-3 foot ocean swell that started rolling in. So when we went to get out of there, we realized the windlass wasn't working. The good news is that among many other things, I'm also a marine electrician, and I built and installed the system. It turns out that the salty ocean water that filled the anchor locker also penetrated the weatherproof switch box and corroded the electronics. The salty water corrodes the wires and electronics so fast in the ocean, it is amazing. The switch had literally disintegrated inside. We really needed to find a new switch. So the night before we had started out on a mooring ball, but it was in a bad location and we didn't trust it, so we dropped the hook. So to leave Great Diamond Island, we had to lift the anchor by hand. The waters around PortLand, Maine are actually pretty busy with ferry services and fishing boats and pleasure craft around.
So we were at an anchorage last night and the swell was awful, so we changed anchorage this morning just for a few hours to breakfast, relax, and then poof, the wind. Where we were when we dropped the anchor, it was fine, and then the wind shifted, and now we are facing wind between 25 and 30 knots. So we decided to lift the anchor, and we need to a special switch for the windlass, because there was so much water in the anchor locker that basically it's corrode the switch on and off for the windlass. So we're trying to replace it, so we'll go shopping. So we lift the anchor.
Look, I found him! The enemy. The leaves on the trees are still mostly green. That's a good sign. They're just turning. PortLand seems to have a really busy waterfront. I wonder where we can anchor WildChild and not get in trouble. There appears to be some dinghies sailing around there and a couple of other sailboats. Maybe that's a safe place to go. It was a short motor sail from Great Diamond Island to PortLand, Maine. We weren't sure where to go, so I went on the cell phone and checked out Google satellite maps. I decided we'd go near East End Beach, sort of to the north of the cruise ship area, because that's where the sailboats were. We grabbed a random mooring ball, kind of hoping nobody would yell at us, jumped in the dinghy, and went to shore to look for a new windlass switch. The weather seemed to be clearing up, and the weather was getting warmer, which was nice. near end of season, so there weren't a lot of boats around, but we found a dinghy dock and got WildChild tied up and secured. We have a cable lock that we always use to make sure nobody steals the dinghy. So we're walking up the ramp. This dude approaches us and says he has to charge us $20 for docking our dinghy there. $20 is so ridiculous. It is so frustrating that when you own a boat, automatically that entitles everybody else in the world to stick their hand in your pocket and gouge you. I just refused. I argued with the guy and got him down to $10 for a 1-hour stay. Whatever. If you add that $10 parking fee onto West Marine gouging us $30 for this $5 switch, it turned out to be a $40 switch for the windlass, but we got it, we needed it, we installed it. Well, after that interesting afternoon, we went back to WildChild, finished fixing the windlass, spent the rest of the day working on episode 14 for you guys, watched the sunset, called it a night, woke up the next morning, and just kept on sailing.
Good morning, Skipper.
Good morning, sailing fans. It is, I have no idea, like Sunday, October 21st. We're leaving PortLand, Maine. Yesterday was the first day warm enough that we could leave the companionway hatch open in the day. It was the first day that warm, like 16 degrees Celsius. It was the first warm day like that in over a month, and it was just lovely not to be freezing. That, of course, didn't last long, and overnight it came down to about 8 degrees Celsius, and it's going to stay 8 degrees Celsius all day. We're really behind schedule, like we're really being chased south by the winter, and the winter's coming faster than we're going south. And the other thing is the Atlantic Ocean is a moody girl, so this time of year. So we maybe have 2 or 3 good days to sail in a week. And we're used to in the St. Lawrence and the Maritimes, you can go almost every day. Out here, you can go 3 days a week. So the good news is you finally get to rest, but the bad news is it gets colder and colder as you sit there doing nothing. There's snow in Wisconsin, there was snow in Buffalo, snow in Niagara. Around here the trees are turning and it's not yet started to snow, but it's coming soon. We gotta go south, we gotta go south, we gotta go south. So on a relatively calm ocean, we set out that morning and made a 60 nautical mile jump south to Newburyport in the Merrimack River, just north of Boston.
So it's Sunday, October 21st. Christmas is in 2 months and a few days, and 4 days. And we're sailing. So we left Vaitu, so now today it's great. It's not sunny, it's cold, 8 degrees. But we're running on the beam, a little bit running. So that's fabulous. The wind is at an angle of 120 degrees. Love it. Beautiful. The wind is between 14 and 20. So that's great. And the boat is going between 6.5, 7.5. Sometimes a little bit of surf to 8 knots. So progress, let's go south. So I invite you to jump in my seat and to view what I view with me. That's the view I have from where I'm sitting. So you're checking on starboard, everything is clear, the front on the bow of the boat, and you check on the port side too, because there's a lobster trap, right, and there's fishermen, and they don't have a AIS, so you need a visual, you need to see them, you don't see them on the port side.
Yay! We're finally going south, making miles on a calm ocean. Yay!
Well, that's the way it is. So, Lexi, she's relaxing down below, reading or listening to BBC, some documentary. Very happy today. We're making progress south. So we won't be able to make Cape Cod today, but tomorrow it's supposed to, as for the wind forecast, same type of wind, so that will be great. So we'll have another great day tomorrow, so we should get to Cape Cod tomorrow.
With the reef main, we're on a starboard beam reach with the winds coming offshore. It is perfect sailing conditions. Oh, spoke too soon. The lovely 20 knots of wind soon became 25, became 30, became 35 knots of wind off the beam. We were sailing within a mile of the shore, so the waves really weren't that bad. But in 35 knots of wind, let me tell you, the power is awesome. WildChild was flying at like 9 knots to the reef main. Eventually we furled away most of the Jenny and had only 10% Jenny out for balance, and we just flew like a rocket ship. We were making great progress, but I was really unsure. How are we going to turn into the wind to get back to land for the night? Have you ever tried to furl in your Jenny in 35 knots of wind? It takes a lot of strength and adrenaline. Eventually we had to put the furling line on the secondary winches because there was no way we could budge it. We kept bringing the boat to windward to luff the Jenny to get pressure off and then fall off. It was quite an event. So much for our lovely and easy day sailing, huh? This was one of the most memorable sails we ever had. Fueled with a healthy dose of adrenaline and fear, it was actually really exciting. WildChild is an amazing sailboat with a really deep keel. She's built tough and fast. We knew that she could take the beating, so we knew that we were safe. We just had to keep it under control. But man, when you're going that fast and that much wind, is it ever intense?
Stop the video and do a video of that.
This little wind event wasn't in any of the weather forecasts, so they got it wrong again. We were trying to keep WildChild within a mile of shore because the further out, the bigger the waves. We really didn't want to be in 35 knots of wind and 10-foot waves. You can see from here though, although the wind is intense, the waves haven't had time to build. Not enough fetch yet. You can see that as the cautious captain, I was at the helm. I knew that the force loads on the boat were enormous, but WildChild is such an amazing boat. She's so well built and so tough. I knew that she could take it. God, I love this boat. After a couple of intense hours of sailing, slowly the wind clocked down from 35 knots to 30 to 25, between 20 and 25. It became manageable again. After a couple of hours at the helm, I started thinking ahead. If the wind is coming from the west, and the land is to the west, and eventually, before dark, I want to go west to find some harbor or sheltered bay where we can drop the hook. That means at some point, I'm going to have to go directly upwind in a narrow channel or bay to find a safe place to anchor for the night. Does anybody know where we're going? Does anybody have a plan for how we're going to do this? Last time we were in a similar situation off the coast of Nova Scotia, the Canadian Navy actually charged to our rescue. I wonder who we call off the coast of Massachusetts. Probably the American Navy, I guess, but they'd probably send us a bill for it. Oh yeah, and all this, and we're still dodging lobster pots out here. Look at that. That was a close call. Knots. Oh, son of a bitch. Sustained at 30. Sustained 28, 29. Eventually, the chart plotter showed ahead that the Merrimack River has a marked deep water channel entrance going into Newburyport, Massachusetts. If only we could get directly upwind, it looks like a good place to anchor. The lucky advantage that we had this time was that the winds were actually west by southwest, so if we close hauled really tight, like a 25-30 degree wind angle to the wind, and we motor assisted at full tilt, we figured we should be able to make it in through the channel and further up the river. The more inland we got, the more the winds would be disrupted and the safer we'd become. We did it. We're a really good crew and WildChild's a really good boat. By the time we got far enough up the river to be sheltered from the winds and found a good anchorage, the sun was setting. We dropped the hook at the edge of dark, went down below, cooked dinner, and called it a night.